Welcome to the last match of the evening. We're on Cactus Valley, spawning to the bottom right-hand corner in purple, playing Terran for LDLC in France. It's Miyako. The infamous Miyako. And to the top left-hand corner in orange, playing Zerk for eSwarm, the same team as Grizzly is in, and Russia. It's Kyuubi. So, Overlord already sent out. We have the other Overlord moving towards the right-hand side to check for possible bases, while taking a hatchery first. Just the usual good old stuff, nothing all too expected, while Miyako, of course, is producing her wall in. And a refinery. Short pause. To get out a Reaper in time, and then probably expand right behind it. So Kyuubi getting the spawning pool and the extractor. Cactus Valley, huge ass 4-player map, and with Zerk spawning cross position, also getting the better spawning positions. That's just like the wet dream of every Zerk player on this map. If you want to spawn on Cactus Valley, then it is for sure the cross-spawn position. Horizontal spawn can be deadly for a Zerk player if the Terran player is very aggressive, which Miyako is. And even the vertical spawns, depending on where you spawn, can also be quite problematic. So you never want to have the close-by ground spawn. You always want to spawn cross-position on that map. So, first Reaper moving out while the command center is being built on the low ground. Miyako does not know yet where her opponent is, so scouts clockwise in order to find out where her opponent is. Might even see that Overlord moving out and then actually assume where her opponent will be. Well, sees it, so let's see if she actually even moves in. Yeah, okay. She's just rallied everything, is not really taking care, but yeah, realizes the hatch is not there, so her opponent will probably also not be there. And from the Overlord timing, she might even assume that her opponent must have spawned cross-spawn. So, in the meantime, we have 6 links running across the map by Kyuubi here. Wants to apply some early pressure. Miyako has not yet built any sort of defense here. No wall off and only 1 marine, while the barracks still working. The barracks is still working on the reactor here. So once these links come in, they might cause a little bit of a problem. Luckily for Miyako, or maybe not luckily, but good for Miyako, the command center has just finished. Whoa! But Miyako even Miyako doesn't even care about these things. Wow! Even switching out the factory and the barracks as we speak. Whoa! I mean, that could have been really problematic if these links had been upwards that ramp. They could have easily ran in. But yeah, Miyako doesn't even care, doesn't even lift that building, just morphs it into an orbital command as we speak, waiting for the Hellions to arrive, just knowing that these links will never be able to take down this command center before it has finally morphed into an orbital command, and then she can still lift it if needs be, but it isn't, since Miyako will have her Hellions out even earlier and drive away the rest of those pesky links while the Overlord arrives on that high ground to give her some scouting information of the front of Miyako. But yeah, I mean, that was really ruthless here by Mia. Just don't giving a shit about these links attacking the command center, like really sitting there and saying, yeah, come on, hit my command center, I don't care. Waste your time by attacking my command center. Who cares? You will never take it down in time. So that was really nicely done. In the meantime, we have Kyuubi just going for a third edge right behind her aggression. Best thing she could do, getting some evolution chambers for the early upgrades. And now only droning up a little bit, getting a few Zerglings out just in case her opponent should decide to walk across the map or maybe drive across the map with all of her Hellions there in order to get some damage done. So she wants to have at least a few units there. Also getting a Baneling Nest because she knows that she will need it. With only pure links, she will not sustain against all of these Hellions here, so she really needs to have something that packs a punch, and the Banelings will help her out, at least on creep, which is why she's already spreading it quite thoroughly here. In the meantime, just sending around these links in order to get possible ninja hatches. Ninja bases, never mind. So Miyako just moving out with the Hellions a little bit too soon maybe to catch these Zerglings. Zerglings will now be able, no, actually will not be able to get in. It looks as if there's a little gap here, but there's not. Now finally the Marines come in, we'll be able to clear this situation in here. Yeah, and the Zerglings won't even be able to kill one of these workers. In the meantime, we have the Hellions arrived at the front. But there's a lot of Queens here and also a lot of Lings, so Miyako will actually not be able to deal that much damage there. We'll even lose the Reaper. So not much scouting information by her. In the meantime, Kyuubi already going for the lair. We'll probably go into Mutas right behind it, because as far as we can see, she just wants to go for a Lingbane Muta type of composition here. Doesn't really know if her opponent actually is going into a lot of bio. Has scouted, of course, the few bio units that drove her back, and she also, of course, still has the Overlord hanging above here. Has also seen the double engineering base, so that, of course, at the latest, tips you off that your opponent wants to go into heavy bio play. And if you have actually studied Miyako's play, you know that she's more of a bio player and not of a meching turn. I mean, yes, she has played some mech in Season 1, but just because she could, let's be honest here. She usually doesn't enjoy the mech style at all. So if you know Miyako a little bit, you know that she's a bioing player. So you, of course, want to go into Lingbane Muta in the long run. And seems as if that is what Kyuubi. This is really difficult with Shnubi and Kyuubi. Fortunately for me, they will never face each other in one match throughout the season, unless, of course, Shnubi makes it to the top 2 and might even get into the playoffs. Then we might see it, but alongside the season, we will not see it happen. So, more Banelings being morphed, and there's the Spire. So this time around we will, again, see the Lingbane Muta, like I said before. Miyako preparing for a move out, is already getting her Hellions in position, wants to make clear that her opponent does not scout her ahead of time by taking that watchtower there. So, and the Marines and Medivacs moving towards the base. Does she want to go through the middle, or does she want to go over the left-hand side, using the left flank? At the same time, we have Kyuubi scouting the third base being taken over here. There's not much she can do right now because Miyako is preparing the push, and now finally her opponent realizes what's going on, scanning a little bit ahead, trying to kill off some of these creep tumors. Almost a good thing, always a good thing to do. And now even morphing those Hellions into Hellbats, since she expects her opponent to have a lot of Lings and Banelings. And if she manages to get all these Lings and Banelings move into her Hellbats, which they don't, that would actually be a nice thing here. Okay, woo! Actually, nice move there by Kyuubi, getting one of those Medivacs, but Miyako just wants to get inside the main base. Unfortunately for her, there are already a few Lings ready. She still manages to take them out, and there again you can just see how bad pure Lings are against Marines, especially once they are clumped up in such a small gap here, where it's really difficult to get some surface area in order to take them down. But yeah, that was actually easily held by Kyuubi here. I mean, the Queens helped out tremendously, picking up even one of those fully loaded Medivacs there, but she didn't actually need that many units in order to clear out that push. Made most of these Banelings, actually, most of the Banelings didn't even hit all of the Marines because Miyako actually unloaded. So, and while this attack happens over here, we have another attack over to the right-hand side. Miyako just trying to multi-prong harass her opponent. The army is quite far away, but Kyuubi is already moving towards the right-hand side, probably expecting something like that to happen. I mean, it's very common that Terrans attack from both angles, or actually even from 3 angles at once if they have enough APM. So we have another drop being loaded up down here, while the other drop just unloads over here. Kyuubi does not really know where her opponent is getting tired of chasing around, but wants to, it seems, just rally all of her armies closer to the middle of the map, so if she gets attacked either on the left-hand side or on the right-hand side, she will just be in a good position in order to intercept the units. The drop is, in the meantime, just moving towards... Is it the main? It seems as if it is the main. It is the main. Never mind. So let's see how this is going to happen. We have another drop incoming over here, but it just cannot land over here. One medevac seems to get shot down once more, almost by the Spore Crawler alone, but then the Corruptors finally take out the other, take out the rest of the two. And yeah, the rest of the army just gets killed, only getting 2 drones and a few Lings and Zerglings, which doesn't really matter. A few Zerglings and Banelings, never mind. And then the other drop as well just gets cleared up pretty easily there by Kyuubi here. Not really much that Miyako can achieve. At least getting 8 workers here, that's something. But if we just have a look at the worker count, I mean, it's fairly easy for Kyuubi to just replenish all of that. In the meantime, we have another big force. Miyako, just the macro monster that she is, moving across the map with some mines and some marines. So if you have a look at the upgrades, it's still 1-1 against 1-1, but both players will just finish 2-2 almost at the same time. Miyako just sends in a few units, realizing, wow, there's still a shit ton of banelings here, so I better retreat a little bit here. Now the spreading works, we also have the mines in position, so if Kyuubi actually wanted to engage that, she would probably suffer heavy losses that way around. In the meantime, we have more creep being spread on all angles. Another base is she tries to take another base over to the left-hand side. Miyako just retreats for now, realizing that she just cannot engage this army of Lingbane and Corruptors. But the biggest problem, of course, is that her opponent, in the meantime, was able to stall Miyako so far that she could get into Hive Tech and would probably just go into Ultras right behind it, because that's just the only thing that actually makes sense. After, and there it is, the Ultralist Den, after committing so many resources into Lings and Banes, and especially the upgrades for melee and ground armor, of course you would want to get Ultralisks. It just makes the most sense. Unless your opponent has just managed to somehow do a horrific tech switch that you now need to answer by doing something else. So in the meantime, we have these few Lings down here blocking the base over to the left-hand side, or at least checking once it's going to happen. There she sees it, just immediately moves one of these Lings back in order to keep it from landing, and sends in the rest of the Lings in order to get some idea of what her opponent is doing. Maybe even picking off a unit here or there, but the Marauder alone barely just does not suffice against these 4 Lings that were trying to attack. So in the meantime, Kyuubi just getting all the good stuff, getting some Ultras, getting the Adrenal Glands, getting the 3-3 upgrade, same as Miyako, of course, getting the 3-3 upgrade as well. She doesn't really need that many upgrades. Also gets the ship weapons upgrades, because later on she probably wants to build some, maybe, yeah, well, probably not Vikings, but mostly Liberators. Against the Ultralisks, especially. So yeah, the upgrades, the air weapons upgrade will help her against the Ultralisks that are bound to come in just a few seconds here. Miyako just moving forward again, having a nice position on the high ground here. Also the Widow Mines are in position, so this is almost an impossible position to engage to. Kyuubi setting up a 2-pronged attack here, coming from downwards and from upwards as well. I mean, there is a Widow Mine ready. We have a lot of units that are already pre-split. Miyako just trying to tempt her opponent, trying to get her into there. There's the first big mine head, already dealing a lot of damage into this Lingbane. And now we have the double attack from the back and from the front as well. But as we can see, the Widow Mine's dealing tremendous amount of damage, almost killing all of the Lings and Baneling forces. Few only remain, but at least the Corruptors have mostly survived, and of course all the 3 Ultralists are also causing a little problem now. Miyako in the meantime has switched a little bit into Marauders to help her out with the Ultralists here, and yeah, without creep, these Ultralisks are just sitting ducks, well, mostly walking ducks, but they are still too slow in order to really catch up with his army here. Miyako just stutter-stepping back, luring most of the army right into the mines, bam, bam, getting 2 great hits here, killing all of the Banelings off, and Kyuubi realizes right away that she has to retreat immediately, because without the support of more Banelings, these Ultralists will just get kited forever and be taken down, and that would be resources lost she just cannot afford right now. In the meantime, Mia prepares another push over to the left-hand side, over the left flank here, while her opponent is just moving towards the middle, close to the Xel'Naga watchtower, wanting to keep a close eye on the movements of Miyako. Miyako, but of course she cannot really see everything on the map since it's such a huge-ass map. At the same time, we have two Liberators trying to besiege this base over here. Now the army just moves in. Kyuubi just realizes at the last moment, and before she can even react, the base and all the drones with it get taken down, and now she can just load in and fly away, and will do so, probably even head for the main base, while the Liberators are just moving over here. But yeah, the Queen has already seen them. She has a Corruptor in place, but is now mostly moving the Corruptor towards the main base. Yeah, denies the mining over here as well, while also landing with the base inside the main base. The army is just moving in bit by bit, so a lot of units already get taken out before the rest of the army engages. And, well, even getting an Ultralisk with mostly Marines here, loading in, just barely getting away, what the fuck, with 5 hit points, even though there were Corruptors around, leaving only one man behind, who falls off a cliff and dies horribly. In the meantime, finally the Liberator got cleared, and the mining is back to, or the workers are back to work, the drones are back to work. Workers are back to work, that's an unusual sight. Personal cloaking getting researched for ghosts here, so it seems if Miyako in the long run wants to deal with the Ultralisks using ghosts and snipe, or maybe even prepares for a Broodlord switch, but probably it's just snipe against these Ultralisks. So let's see, we also have a few more Liberators being produced as well. Kyuubi in the meantime trying to take this hatchery over here, trying to retake this hatchery, which is already done. And now moving in over the right-hand side. I mean, this base is not really worth a big commitment here, since it's almost dry anyways. There are some production facilities, but there's also a bunker, and Miyako will probably be able to react straight away. Has just had these Liberators sieging up this position over here. There's the first ghost, and a lot more ghosts actually. Whoa, never mind. And personal cloaking is done. She will be able to just cloak them and then move in. Is there an Overseer with the army? Actually, several of them, so no problem with that. Yeah, she has Overlords. She has Overseers, of course, because of the mines, but now also because of the ghosts. Although I still think she doesn't really know about them. More ghosts being produced, and now she tries to engage from the left-hand side. There's a planetary fortress and another command center just limiting the movement around the base. So Kyuubi retreats again. Not really sure if she can engagement. Wants to move towards the right-hand side, but of course with all these sensor towers, Miyako always knows what her opponent wants to do, always knows the army movement, can always unsiege and resiege important positions, important chokeways that she has built quite nicely here, I have to say. And Kyuubi just moving around, keeping Miyako on her toes. I mean, she has the bigger supply, she has more bases up. I think the income should actually also be better, even despite Miyako having more workers and mules available, because her bases are just running pretty low. And now she just wants to engage through the middle? No. Okay, just rethinks the situation, sends in a few Corruptors in order to pick up these Liberators, or pick off these Liberators before they can deal something. Now she's finally seen the snipe line, so she should know that snipe is available if she hasn't already seen the ghosts beforehand. Miyako even building, even making a Velo-like builds here, just getting a planetary fortress in front of her entrance, so that she will have additional firepower in order to deal with the Ultralisks. And yeah, there it is, the Greater Spire transition, probably into Broodlords. Kyuubi doesn't really want to engage with all of her Ultras into fortified positions, so she rather wants to chip away these fortified positions. She already has some Corruptors in place, but Miyako already sniffs it out and is investing into some Vikings in the meantime. So we have another base going down for Kyuubi, and why not? She is easily keeping her opponent pinned back inside her own base. Okay, Miyako now trying to get another sensor tower in order to see what's going up and where the army is moving out, while she probably wants to take a base over here, so she really needs the additional vision. Her army is quite far away, so I think she won't really be able to get this up. Now she sees that the army has moved over there, is immediately sending nothing over there, except for SCVs, and now finally the army moves, but only a little bit closer. Has obviously realized that her opponent wants to or has left actually this segment over here, is just scanning to make sure of it, and now knows where the army is. Nice scanning there by Miyako, always making sure to know where her opponent is. Now she sees that the army is moving in due to her sensor tower. She just tries to close the gap with the Liberators, but just barely does not get it. So now has to lift the command center at least. The Corruptors are busy fighting over here against the Vikings and the Corruptors, so they won't really be able to shoot down the command center over here for now. And now finally Miyako moves in with all the ghosts over there, trying to snipe as well as possible. And there's a good answer there by Kyuubi here, investing into some infestors that would, with fungal would just keep her opponent's units in place, and would also deny cloak for the units that are hit by fungal. So it's easier for her to... Fungal also cancels the snipe attempt of ghosts, because it does damage to the units, and whenever a ghost gets damaged, it will just cancel the snipe attempt. So yeah, actually fungal, a great idea there for Kyuubi. Kyuubi has the greatest buyer, Kyuubi also getting a Nidus network, and I actually like this kind of a lot. If she actually manages to sneak in like an overlord somewhere around here and manages to get a big chunk of army right into the production line of Miyako, that just cripples a Terran really hard. It's very difficult to cripple a Terran economically once she's managed to get a certain amount of bases up. Killing workers by them does not really make a big difference, especially if the Terran has a lot of orbital commands and can just spam mules like crazy. Actually, at some point you're even doing the Terran a favor if you start killing their workers. But if you get into the production line, that's just the best way to cripple a Terran in the late game, because it just costs time, and it costs time and resources in order to get your production facilities back up. In the meantime, you just can't reproduce, and that's really problematic for a Terran to deal with if they have to remake most of the units. Okay, Kyuubi just moving into the right-hand side actually manages to kill off the... Actually, did she kill off that orbital command, or was it just flown over? No, she actually managed to... No, it was flown over. So never mind, not even killed that, and it didn't really matter at all. Now finally there it is. There's the, like I said, there's the Nidus Worm. Is it seen by Miyako though? It is seen, and she's already moving the Liberators over it. So yeah, I think they're okay. No chance that this Nidus Worm will do anything. It will just get shut down immediately. Bam, 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 bam. Okay, just shooting down most of the Ultralists. Yeah, Ultralists maybe not the best choice. At the meantime, we have a big engagement, or a big attack over to the left-hand side, trying to take down that planetary fortress here. Yeah, seems as if these got killed fairly easily. But now the... Whoa, okay, just right-clicking the... Okay, a lot of ghosts dying there, just right-clicking the planetary fortress there, taking it down, denying the mining from here. So more and more Ultras just killing a few of these ghosts there, but the ghosts of course being cloaked, and most of the armies and the overseers flying back while the rest of the army was still attacking. Miyako was able to take out a lot of Ultralists there with the Ghost Snipe. She still has another orbital command close by, so it didn't really matter to her that much that she lost that base over here. And like I said, even if she's lost a few workers, it doesn't really matter that much. She can just spam moves like crazy now if she wants to, and get her income back up. Income still looking good for Kyuubi here. It's been a really long and drawn out game. Kyuubi probably a bit exhausted by trying to get good engagements, by trying to get her opponent down and tearing down important facilities, but never quite managing to do so. Just walking across the map from left to right, from right to left, finding a little sweet spot, finding a hole inside Miyako's defenses here. So, okay, there's the mine, just getting a good hit. Okay, the command center again just immediately dies. Not much that Miyako could even do. I mean, she knew that her army was parked over here due to the sensor tower, but yeah, her army just not strong enough in order to take out these units before they could take down the orbital command. At the same time, another attempt of getting a Nidus Worm done. So the question again is, does Miyako have the map awareness? It's showing on the minimap, but still, I mean, you have so much stuff to do. Sending the Marines back, but unfortunately unfortunately, there's just nothing there. That might actually be the biggest problem here, that Miyako just doesn't have anything close by. And again, of course, if she just sends back too many units, the main army threatens to come in as well. So she has to be careful how many units she actually wants to send out. Kills the Nidus Worm first, so that the Ultralisks at least won't be able to get out again. Okay, Ultralisks mostly just killing a few supply depots and maybe some production facility, but nothing that was really all too worth of being killed. And now we have another big engagement over at the left-hand side. Kyuubi just desperately trying to deny Miyako's mining for good. And I think at that point in time, this base actually is the only remaining base that's mining. I mean, we have another hidden base going up here. I don't really know how she managed to sneak in an SEV, because there's creep and bases everywhere. Maybe it was still there from earlier on, but that's just like crazy. Taking the hidden ninja expo right in enemy territory. That is so cool. But yeah, if we just have a look, I mean, these are the last remaining mineral fields from Miyako and all of the bases. Another Nidus Worm attack over here. And yeah, I mean, this is dry. This one is dry. The Nidus Worm will just come up. There's one ghost here, but it doesn't even have cloak. Okay, nothing happening here. Ghost just trying to kill off that Nidus Worm. And, okay, no units coming. Okay, most of the units just coming back here because there was a drop over there. Okay, and that was why she was preoccupied. There would be units inside, at least one Ultralisk, but she gets it before the Ultralisks eventually gets out. So maybe the space might be Miyako's saving grace, I don't know. I mean, her opponent is really far ahead, especially economy-wise. If you just have a look at this income here and at the supply difference of 200 to 108. I mean, Miyako's upgrades are where they are. Of course, Kyuubi has just more upgrades overall, but upgrades that do not really matter in the direct engagement. I mean, what's really interesting there is the air upgrades, since right now she's morphing the first few Broodlords. Okay, Miyako, that's actually a nice move there by Miyako, trying to get over to the left-hand side and sealing off that area a little bit more with barracks here, making it a little bit more easy, a little bit easier for her to defend that part over here. But the Ultralisks are just so strong, ripping through all of these buildings here, will eventually get all of these workers and the orbital command once more. Not much army left for Miyako here. She still has a few ghosts, but in the long run, this just won't do anymore. I mean, her economy is in shambles right now. She's not even mining anything, only a little bit long distance mining there, while Kyuubi just has the rest of the map and has now probably even spotted the base over here. Yeah, so no way for Miyako to actually come back with his base. She just flies over another one. But yeah, I mean, after trying to deploy a few mules over here, trying to get some income back, but with the one Ling, and mules can't even defend themselves. They can't even attack that one Zergling here. It would still be very problematic because that's a Zerg with 3/3 upgrades and adrenaline glands. So I don't even think that it would matter if you had like a few SCVs over here, and you couldn't save them for long anyways. So I don't know what Miyako is actually waiting for. She must realize that she can't win this game anymore. I mean, at that point, her opponent is only banking up more and more resources. That base is going to die. Miyako does not even bother to lift it. So Kyuubi moving forwards, trying to take out that base over here. There's nothing here to defend. The bunker is empty. The army is far, far away on the other half of the map. There's one planetary fortress, but it doesn't really matter. GG! And Kyuubi takes the first map. Paladino Terminal is Miyako's choice for the next map in this best of 5. And here we have her spawning as the Purple Terran. And to the bottom right, playing for eSwarm and Russia, we have Kyuubi. Also a new addition to our season play mode this season. Lots of new players. If you would like to have more information about all of the new players and all of the old players, since you might be a totally new watcher of the FSL, then just have a look at the FSL webpage, because there you can get all the interesting and fancy information about the players participating. Just go to the Players tab, click on a person's picture, and you will get the extended profile providing you with a lot of information about all of the FSL players. Some of them even have a little introduction video or other special stuff you might want to see or read. If you type !FSL into the chat, you will get a link towards it. So, hatchery first for Kyuubi, nothing all too unexpected there. Although this is a map with a very short rush distance, so you always have to be prepared for cheese of some sort. Both players have. So, Miyako getting a barracks and the gas will build a Reaper pretty early on, I guess, after getting the orbital command here. No, actually going to Marine first. So, this might actually be kind of an interesting aggressive build here. Not getting a Reaper usually means that you want to go for some early aggression here, or maybe you just want to take down that Overlord. That could also be part of why you're doing it. So, moving down, yeah, I think Kyuubi will probably to maybe just barely save that Overlord to the high ground here. While in the meantime, Miyako is just scouting the backside of the base. Yeah, okay, we'll just get it. Okay, actually not even close. I mean, that was not even close. Only 80 hit points left. So Overlord is secure. But yeah, that makes it more likely that Miyako actually wants to really deal some damage with a few Marines. And a factory, probably Hellions right behind it. So, command center going down as well. Kyuubi is already bringing her Overlord into position here. Wants to get a good scout of Miyako's base, although it's a rather long base, so a lot of space to cover and a lot of corners to hide potential tech here. Yeah, quite difficult to scout base there for Zerg actually. But also for Terran. I mean, if you want to scan, there's a lot of space, like I said, to just hide something. So scanning would also be quite problematic for Terran there. The only thing that could fairly easily scout would be an observer, but Protoss needs quite some time in order to get an observer out. And at the point when the observer finally arrives and discovers what was hidden, it might already be too late. So in the meantime, Kyuubi just getting her first typical few Zerglings. Usually she wants to use them for some early harassment, but since she does not really know what's up, it might as well also be only a few Zerglings, a few safety Zerglings. So now she's moving in. Let's see what she sees. Sees the barracks, sees the factory producing something. Also sees that the Starport was producing something. And in the meantime, we have Miyako producing an armory tucked back somewhere. So it's going to indeed be a Hellbat push with a few Marines. Okay, moving them out quite strangely here. Okay, Marines, move out over here. No, she probably just wants to make sure that she doesn't have to move out here where the Overlord can see it. So nice little maneuvering here. Moving out, we're using the medevac here, so she will avoid that Overlord. But unfortunately, these two Hellions moved right down that path, and then this little Hellion over here just runs across that Overlord, and there are the Banelings being morphed. We have Queens ready in position to defend this. The Banelings moving backwards, the Banelings, or luring her opponent maybe even into the Banelings. Banelings just barely morph in time, killing off most of these Hellbats here, and the rest of the Queens should probably be able, especially with the help of these Banelings, to clear off that push completely and shut it down. Nice defense there by Kyuubi here, just in the very last second, reacting accordingly, while taking a third base right behind it. Miyako realizes that her opponent is probably going for some sound of counterattack, so she wants to seal off that area as quickly as possible. A few links unfortunately get through, but she has some Hellions in position. Unfortunately, the gap is still wide open, and more links are arriving, with one Hellion being already a little bit down in health, getting even bitten apart a bit more here, and again the gap is still wide open. Miyako is so stressed out controlling these Hellions in order to not lose her only defensive unit here that she does not really have the time to throw that bunker. Finally gets it down, nicely done by her, but unfortunately the Hellion dies as well, and now we finally at least have one Banshee there to help out killing off the remaining Lings here. But still, 6 workers have been killed, a lot of mining time has been denied, so the damage has been dealt already. Another worker even dies, so nice catch there by Kyuubi here, getting 8 workers in total. But there's the big mule drop here, giving Miyako a little income boost here, although she's a little bit behind in workers already. But that's of course due to the initial push she just wanted to do, which unfortunately didn't really work out the way she wanted it to work out. Spore Crawler now done, since Kyuubi just saw that there was a Banshee moving across the map, so she has Spore Crawlers in all the critical positions. Still, there's of course a lot of wide open space where Spore Crawlers are not, and yet there's no Overseer out, there's not even a lair done. So Miyako might actually manage to get a little bit of decent damage done with this Banshee, as long as her opponent does not have any sort of movable vision. Any sort of mobile vision. Baneling Nest, researching the Baneling speed here. Queen's moving back a little bit. Seems as if there was, the one Banshee trying to deal some more damage, but the Spore Crawler was in position, as was the Queen. So Miyako has to retreat for now with the 2 Banshees. Might actually go in with the 2 Banshees and killing off a few of these Queens here, but there is the Overseer, and that will probably cause her to move back, not before losing one of these Banshees there, unfortunately for her. Centrifugal hooks almost done. So it seems as if, I don't know, it might just be a precautious measure, since I guess that Kyuubi is still expecting her opponent to go into some sort of bioplay, which she isn't, and she realizes that now. There's a hell of a lot of Cyclones being produced in the meantime. So this time around, after I said it that Miyako usually likes her bioplay, she was forced into mech, and will maybe now even surprise her opponent. I mean, Banelings in great masses can be kinda okay-ish as long as the mech army is not that big. But yeah, that's definitely not really the tech you want to invest a lot of resources into in order to clear that up. So the longer Kyuubi waits, the more problematic it will get for her to clear this army off. Like I said, I mean, if she just gets a magnificent engagement on creep, where Miyako does not manage to get away and kite her Lings and Banelings the way she needs to, then it might work out. But with pure Ling Baneling, there's some Roaches there, but Roaches also not that good against Cyclones and the extreme DPS that Cyclones provide. Miyako has not yet realized that there's a 4th base going up, but she will probably just move around a little bit, waiting for a few more units to arrive, and then eventually maybe move into the 3rd base in order to take it out. I don't really know by now. We also have a few Hellbats in the mix as well, so if she manages to get the Hellbats in front with the Cyclones in the back, she should actually easily be able to take out that army of Kyuubi here. The question is, when will she actually move in? She does not, which is quite interesting here. Seems as if she just wanted to bluff her opponent to make units instead of workers while expanding herself, and now just retreating to her own turf, which is actually not the worst choice, since on her own turf there's no creep. So if her opponent just wants to go for a counterattack after investing so many resources into army that she can't really use on the other half of the map, I think Miyako actually made a nice call there. So, 3rd base going down, the Scoutling spots it right away. Might even be able to kill off one SCV, at least, so making itself useful. Even a 2nd one, wow! That was really cost efficient there, and now finally the Ling gets torn down. In the meantime, Kyuubi just trying to saturate her base up here, trying to tech up a little more, getting the Roach speed, the little reconstitution, but I mean, that's actually all she does. Getting a few Ravagers, getting a lot of Banelings. I mean, with that kind of army, I mean, this is now what I said, what I was talking about. like a hell of a lot of Banelings, and you also have the Roaches and Ravagers, so that could be quite problematic to move away from that while also dealing the necessary amount of damage here. So let's see, Miyako realizes a little bit late that the army is actually headed towards her, trying to split a little bit. Most of the Banelings just run in, crushing most of the Cyclones and the Hellbats straight away, but a lot of Cyclones still survive with a few hit points there. We also have the the Banshees as well raining down for death from above here. We also have the tank shooting onto these Roach Ravagers, but it's just too few damage output here. Seems as if Kyuubi just wants to take down an orbital command over here. I think Miyako would be wise to at least lift it, but she does not, just in the last moment. But I mean, with the Corrosive Bite, she might even be able to take it down eventually, and there it goes down. Wow, costing her the third command center. That's really huge. That's a big deal. Miyako just losing a lot of potential income later on in the game, and now she just has to make a last stand at her natural base. All of this Roach Ravager force together with these Queens, which help out against the Banshees tremendously. Kyuubi just rallying all of the units across the map and tearing down the units, the workers inside the natural base. GG, and Kyuubi takes the lead with a 2-0. Newkirk Precinct is our third map. Spawning to the top, to the bottom. There's only bottom spawns here. Spawning to the bottom left. In purple. Can she make a comeback? Or will her opponent take the series with a 3-0? It's Miyako. And to the bottom right, leading 2-0. Only needing one more map in order to close out the series for what many might consider an upset. It's Kyuubi. Going for the hatch first, once more. While it seems Miyako just wants to scout for any sort of proxy shenanigans. No, actually wants to go for... yeah, doing both, actually. Just wants to go for a command center first on the low ground. Wow. On Newkirk, with that wide open ramp, woo, that's some balls of steel, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, also checking if there might be some proxy shenanigans somewhere around, some proxy hatchery. But there's not, and then just getting the one additional mineral before planting down the command center. But yeah, I mean, that is taking some risk. Getting the command center on the low ground on a map with kind of short rush distances and a huge ass open ramp towards your natural base. So let's see. Not even getting the wall off at the bottom of the ramp, but even on the top. Well, at least, of course, that's the safer thing to do, because if your opponent was actually to push early on, you can at least defend this area. You could never defend that one. Even if you started walling off here right from the get-go, there would always be a little part open where the Lynx could get in and then just run right into your main base, because there's no wall on the top of the ramp. So that's, of course, the safer thing to do. You can always... I mean, it would be cruel to have to cancel this one over here, but if you get it through, you can always lift it, even though you can't mine from it right now. And if you have to cancel it, would be cruel, but at least better than losing the game straight away, because you have no wall whatsoever that's finished. So, Overlord getting in. Miyako sending an SCV across in order to see if there's already an early third, and what tech is already there. Actually might not be able to get inside the main base, which is a bit unfortunate here, losing the SCV in the process, but driving away the Overlord from further scouting. So Overlord does not know about this base, apparently. Taking a third base at a usual time, right around the 3-minute mark, a little bit before that. Quite typical there for Zerg. Getting speed done, also good thing. Yeah, probably expecting Miyako to go for bioplay once more, so she probably wants to go into Lingbane Muta eventually. And we saw her transitioning out of a Lingbane style into the Bane Roach Ravager style quite successfully when she needed to do it. So nice little Overlord spread here by Kyuubi. If you just have a look at the map vision, it's just tremendous. So there's not really anything that can get away undiscovered. Miyako getting stim. Yeah, both players not really being aggressive this time around. I mean, there's not much Miyako can do at the moment. She doesn't really want to move out onto the map without having any map presence and map vision. I mean, if she just used all of these Marines and sent them across the map, she could just walk into anything, immediately losing them to just a random bunch of banelings running across the map in order to attack and test the water. And because she was just not looking at that point in time, she could just lose everything. So it's always really risky to just move out with only Marines, especially without stim and no medevac support. So once you just get caught out in the open, you just lose all of these, and that could be game ending. So it's very risky for a turn to move out at that point in time. That's why some people prefer the Hellion opening, because Hellions make you able to go out on the map to just have a look, to show map presence, and also, of course, to deny the map presence to the Zerg. But if you decide against Hellions, you actually leave your map presence to the Zerg, and will have to wait for some additional attack in order to move out, be it stim, be it some medevacs, or at best be it both at once. So more creep being spread, yeah, and here again we see it by Kyuubi, just the typical build she does in TvZ, always having 4 additional queens for creep spread. I call them 4 additional non-inject queens, because all of her inject queens are tucked back, like here and here and here, and then she just has 4 additional queens on a hotkey, so she can always just move them around for whatever purpose she needs them to, be it to defend pushes, be it to snipe down medevacs, be it to spread some creep, be it to transfuse a building that's getting sniped down. So she just has these 4 additional queens for all sorts of purposes, because that's how good queens actually are. Miyako taking her sweet time, finally producing 2 medevacs with a lot of Marines out here, so now she will probably just move out either by dropping or just moving across the map. I mean, her opponent will probably see what's going on. She has an Overlord in position, now sees the army moving, might just lose this Overlord, but it's a good trade for the information here. Of course, losing 100 minerals and also getting supply capped is a bit problematic here, but she's just uncapped right away. But yeah, I mean, now she knows what's going on, also sends in another Overlord, will lose another one, and again getting supply capped, which is of course a bit problematic if you're just about to defend a push. You usually don't want to be supply capped at that point in time, but she already has enough safety banelings and lings and queens in order to easily fend off that push. Shouldn't be any problem. We'll lose some creep tuners here, but it doesn't really matter since these queens have energy for ages. Yeah, and Miyako realizes straight away, okay, there's nothing I can do, I need to evacuate immediately. But that's just like what I said. Yeah, she wouldn't have been able to evacuate that easily without the medevacs, or without stim, or without bows, so it wouldn't really have mattered. If she had just sent a few Marines across the map, she would have just sent them there to die, or just being amazingly lucky. So they're already done, we have another drop incoming, so it seems as if Miyako now wants to play her strong suit and go for multi-pronged harassment. We'll probably just attack with the main army over at the 3rd base, while also sending a medevac or 2 medevacs into the main base. So she should be able to deal some damage at least somewhere. Unfortunately for her, the drop doesn't really, or the attacks don't really arrive at the same time. That would have been even more potent. A lot of Overlords actually see what's going on, and she now just moves a lot of these units across the map. Actually, I think Miyako could even unload one of these medevacs right into these banelings in order to just trade very cost efficiently against them, but she rather wants to move into the 3rd base once more. Stutter steps back quite nicely here. Off creep, the banelings unfortunately are not very fast. Do they even have the upgrade? They do already. Oh no, that is actually, is that the, yeah, they do already have the speed upgrade for the banelings, but still quite slow off creep. So Miyako could easily just stutter step back and take out a few more units. Still has the army over here at the left-hand side. So once she thinks that she might be able to deal some more damage over to the left-hand side, she will probably just move in once more. In the meantime, is she trying to take a 3rd base? No, I think she's really all in here. Yeah, just going for a full-on assault with a lot of tanks and more Marines just coming in from behind, keeping her opponent busy and maybe even unsuspecting of what is happening. Maybe even maybe even granting her some false assurance here, making her think that everything is working out quite well. I mean, if you're a player yourself, you might have noticed that you might get overconfident if you just hold off pushes fairly easily. You think, oh wow, this is working quite well, I'm actually defending everything quite nicely here. And then suddenly the big army comes in with tanks and marines. I mean, look at that huge force, that is just so frightful here. I mean, have a look at that. Just so scary. What is going on? Just okay. Not Miyako. Kyuubi just trying to get more and more banelings up, but with the tanks in place, it will still be fairly easy to get some good hits here. Miyako can always just push forward and then retreat a little bit into the tank lines. Kyuubi, though, on the other hand, just tries to get a good surround. No, does not. I think that would have been a great move here, just trying to get the good surround from the left-hand side, trying to move in from behind in order to take out these tanks. Because even if they get some good shots, you can just move in. And now Kyuubi finally gets in from two different sides, clearing up all of Miyako's forces here. Only a few remain, but still, that's actually a good thing for Miyako here. I mean, she only has 3 marines left, but Kyuubi has just lost all of her forces and most importantly all of her banelings. It will take quite some time in order to remake all of those. First she needs the lings, then she needs to wait for the banelings to morph, and then she will only have a few of them. So if Miyako just keeps on reinforcing, which she does, she should eventually just be able to break through. Kills the banelings before they can actually morph completely, and now with only lings, we've seen this already in the game between Mioni and State. Lings alone just won't help, and drones will not either, so Miyako shortens the distance 1-2. Welcome to Belgian Vestige, the 4th map, or Belgian Vestige, the 4th map of this best of 5, spawning to the top left in purple, playing Terran for LDLC and France. It's Miyako. And on the bottom right, in orange, playing Zerg for E-Swarm and Russia, it's Kyuubi, who needs to take one more game in order to close it out, but that was the same situation on the last map, and Miyako overwhelmed her by keeping her busy. By keeping her busy until her main force arrived at the gates, tearing her down with tanks and marines, and eventually overwhelming her. Let's see if she can do it again. Kyuubi sending out the overlords, getting hatch before, gas before pool, all the good stuff, nothing much to speak about. Kyuubi chose this map, it's always loser's pick in this best of 5. The first map gets chosen by the player with the lower MMR, and after that it's always loser's pick. Just in case you were new to the FSL and did not know about the rules. Every match is played as a best of 5 throughout the season. Every player has to face every other player in the same league, because this season, for the first time, we actually managed to get up 2 separate leagues. Athena League, featuring players from Grandmaster to Diamond 2, while Bologna League features players from Diamond 3 and below. We did this to make the competition more interesting for both players and viewers, and also less frustrating for players of lower MMR. So hopefully we will see some very close games this season. So far we've only had 1 3-0, so it's already very promising. And then eventually the top 6 players of Athena League will automatically qualify for the playoffs, while the bottom 2 players, a little Reaper engagement here, while the bottom 2 players of Athena and the top 2 players of Bologna will play a decided best of 5. Who of them will actually qualify for the playoffs as well and join the other 6 players, and then we will have the playoffs in about, I think, week 11 or week 12. I still have to figure that out. So again, Miyako just moving in with a Reaper, trying to kill a few Zerglings, trying to make a little bit or to get a little bit more value out of the Reaper with only 1 kill so far and not really getting the scouting information it wanted, I guess. We'll now see that there's no third base being taken yet. So that should actually ring some alarm bells here. In the meantime, we just see that there's a Baneling Nest incoming and more links, and also the Punitized Carapace, which is the Overlord speed. So maybe, just maybe, Kyuubi actually either wants to go for Dropalords, which could be the case because she already has 1 Overlord in place, and with the speed upgrade it would be easier to fly in and out because the Overlords are just a little bit quicker. But she doesn't have an engineering bay, I say. She doesn't have an evolution chamber. Or is that one? No. She doesn't have an evolution chamber, so she can't really do that. But it seems more likely as if she wants to Baneling bust. And there's actually nothing to bust here. Miyako doesn't have a wall. It's only a mere excuse for a wall. And now the first links are already moving in. Miyako only has a few units. She has a tank, so that tank might be her saving grace. It depends on where she's actually positioning it and if she's already sieging it right beforehand. No! Oh, the anti-timing! Oh, the anti-timing just loads in the medevac with all of the important units, especially with the mine. I mean, the mine and the siege tank would have easily helped this. Oh my god, how very unfortunate. And now the Banelings just breaking through everything, all the links just running right into Miyako's maze. I mean, Miyako is not the one to immediately GG out. She will try to put up a fight. She might even be able to eventually clear this, but more and more links and Banelings just running in. The Banelings will just do a tremendous job against the Marines or even the workers if Miyako should pull them to fight. But how unfortunate for her if she had just sieged this tank up and put that mine into siege mode as well. She could have probably easily held that with both units. But yeah, that's I mean, that's very, very unfortunate and very frustrating to lose against a push like this if you had all the necessary means to hold it, but you were just unfortunate because you decided to move out. You wanted to do something to your opponent, which is the whole idea of the game, to put your opponent under pressure, and that just led to, yeah, well, maybe what a lost game. I mean, it's not lost yet. Miyako manages to save her orbital command, which is really important, is already working on a third one. So once she finally manages to secure that position and get that command center and that mining position back, she could just get back into the game with superior economy for a certain amount of time, because the mules would just help her to get a better mineral income than her opponent. And if she just manages to also deal some damage with this medevac, but it just gets spotted by the Overlord straight away, so I can't even see her dealing that much damage to anything. I mean, Kyuubi is not really behind, of course, but she's behind tech-wise. She doesn't have a lair yet. She just has to go to Spore Crawler here. Oh, even we have a Widow Mine drop over here that or maybe even a walking-in Widow Mine. I don't really know, because I don't actually see any medevac. There is one. Okay, maybe that was that. Yeah, that was it. So Miyako in the meantime actually managed to get a mine drop somewhere, so did some damage as well. So it's not over yet, but Miyako is pretty far behind already. I mean, if she actually manages to deal some more damage, maybe killing off a lot of these links and maybe even denying that hatchery over here, it could be something, but so far I can't really see it happening. I mean, she hasn't even tried to take that base back. Now finally flies out the orbital command over here. Will probably just morph this command center into an orbital command as well. Tries to fight against these links down here as well, trying to get as good as engagements as she can. But yeah, there's just not much she can do. And now Kyuubi just has had enough. Morphs a few banelings over here just in case the medevac comes back, or just in case that Miyako might even send some army units across the map. So finally those siege tanks will get into position and will help her defend that huge-ass opening towards her natural base. But yeah, in the long run she will definitely need to wall this off. And like I said, Miyako not the one to give up easily, so she really wants to put up a fight, but it's going to be a strong uphill battle from here on out. Nice surround by the SCVs here, so the Zerglings actually cannot really get to the siege tank as quickly, and woo, actually having a nice trade there by Miyako. Now the supply of the army forces is almost even. Miyako, of course, down in workers, but the like I said, the mules will help her out quite a bit, so she's of course a little bit down, but not as far as you think she would be. That's partly, of course, due to the third base not being saturated at all, because Kyuubi was just, again, playing, or just trying to be more aggressive than even at the beginning, investing more and more resources into army units, trying to make something happen. I mean, she has all of the other expansions under control, and knows what's going to happen. Nice little siege up there by Miyako here, abusing the terrain in her favor. And moving in with the Marines now, can always just retreat a little bit once these army units come in, and then the siege tanks will fire, so she will probably be able to deal quite some damage here. So nice little comeback so far by Miyako, just dealing a lot of damage. They might even be able to take on the army. I don't think so. Now finally Kyuubi does what she does best, moving in from two different sides, so now the Marines are busy taking out the forces that come in from behind. Miyako just has to load up, might even be able to just barely save that tank here. Nicely done there, and even maybe getting another shot off with that Liberator, but the Hedge lives and gets resaturated immediately, while Kyuubi just sends her units across the map for a counter push, and there's not much here for Miyako to defend. I mean, she even probably has to, okay, just barely wants to get this wall off done here with a few barracks there. So Kyuubi just sees that she might be able to once more bust her way through. There's a lot of depots here too over to the right hand side. But I mean, even if she busts through the right hand side, she would have to walk around all of this territory here, where the bunker could shoot at her, where the siege tank could shoot at her, and where we also have a few Marines that could also shoot at her. So I think that's not really worth it, and Kyuubi sees it like I do and retreats completely while taking a fourth base over here. She doesn't really have to stress the matter right here, doesn't have to overcommit in order to take the victory right now. She is ahead in workers, she is ahead in economy. Nice little siege there by Miyako, denying the mining for a little bit, but will unfortunately lose the Liberator in the process there to that Spore Crawler and the Queens, so unfortunately was not really the kind of damage she would have hoped for. But, I mean, what is the only thing really going for Miyako? It's mostly tech. She's already got all of her tech buildings up. She also has a lot of production facilities, so she can now macro off of two bases. The problem is that she won't easily be able to take a third base of her own. I mean, of course she can take down that Overlord here, but she will have to wait for the creep to clear before she can finally take that base down here. Don't even know if it's the best, because it will take quite some time to float that orbital command over to that position here, and then it's still pretty vulnerable. Because it's still kind of far away. I mean, it doesn't look that far away, but if you have a look at all the units being rallied here and then just move over to here, that takes quite some time, and it leaves you pretty vulnerable for any kind of flanking engagement, because there's just wide open space here on that plateau. So yeah, it's probably pretty difficult to deal some sort of significant damage there, or to prevent it actually. And as Zerg, you could just come in from all angles and crush the army under your teeth. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, there's not much going for Miyako here. She still has the better tech. There's Kyuubi has not yet gone to Hive, although she could actually. She does have a lot of gas banked up, so with only one infestation. But I actually think Infestors would already seal the deal. I mean, fungaling, or maybe even chain fungaling, like that small amount of Marines, and it's over in an instant. So I even think that Infestors would really be a good choice here, and she wants to have the infestation pit anyways, but she's still taking her time, probably just only wants to get into Hive once she's saturated 4 bases. A lot of players have these kind of these kind of timings that don't really rely on the clock, or don't really rely on anything else, but where you just say, okay, once I take 4 bases, I will go into Hive, but not sooner. So unless I don't have another choice. So nice little engagement there here by Miyako once again, just sieging the position very nicely here, but unfortunately, it seems as if, nice little middle mine connections here, but still, it's just not enough. I mean, the amounts are just overwhelming. Kyuubi just running over with all of the forces she has. Miyako just doesn't have the mass in order to get back into the game. Kyuubi just running away with all of his links, doesn't want to get them hit by the Widow Mine here, will now just send in 1 or 2 links in order to make them trigger. Miyako actually being aware enough to unburrow them in order to not let them get triggered, but then later on she has to move them in because she has to micro back at home. Nice little Widowmine shots over here, but not really getting the result she wants to. Now we have Lynx inside the base. These Banelings will now finally crush through the last remaining defenses. We still have 2 Widowmines, but the 2 Widowmines just won't do the difference, especially not if they hit your own units as well. Very unfortunate there. I mean, you don't have luck and then bad luck comes to it. Really unfortunate there for Miyako, but not much she can do. Also well played by Kyuubi, who was just dictating the pace of the game right from the start. I'm sorry to say it, Miyako fans, but that game is not winnable anymore. 42 to 135 supply, and now even both command centers lifted. GG! And Kyuubi takes the series 3-1.